Hey guys, Lucas Sacco here. Today I have the YCS Vancouver meta tier list. This is how I and Julien John think these decks will do at YCS Vancouver. I've got pretty much every meta deck on here. If there's a deck that I missed, leave it in the comment section down below. I did clear out some of the less competitive decks from the last format. If you comment something stupid and you say, hey, why isn't this in your tier list for a deck that could win YCS Vancouver, I'm going to delete your comment and block you. Okay, starting off, Blue Eyes. I think Sean Pittman would play this deck. Sean Pittman's deck list, baby. This is just the deck that Sean Pittman would play. If he could enter a YCS tomorrow, I definitely think he's choosing Blue Eyes.
I think this deck has not been good since it came out. I had maybe like 1 week where I thought this deck was good, and then I break three matches in a row, and I was like, all right, out. The ceiling's way too low. The floor is low because you can break easily. Like, deck's bad.
Yeah.
Need I say more?
No, I played 72 hours of Master Duel with this supposedly being the best deck, and I think I've seen more Blue Eyes within that 72 hours of just me drawing both of his stupid looking head that I think this deck is also horrible. I think it definitely goes down in the Sean Pittman's deck category. Moving on, we have Yummy. What do you think about Yummy?
I put it in maybe, but I think this deck might be overrated. Like the more I had that like new deck feeling at first when I played, I was like, whoa, this is crazy. And then you start like looking at the intricacies, right? Because when you test a new deck and you like it, you have to be like, how can I beat it, right? You don't want to just learn how to play, you want to learn how to beat it. And I found way too many ways to beat it that I don't think it's like that good at the end of the day. I think it's definitely beatable. If it's like, especially in a meta where it'd be like the top contender, if everyone's respecting it way too much, I don't think this deck can shine enough. So I put it in maybe.
Yeah, I agree. I think this deck has too many like hard counters to it, just like through like engine stuff, as well as things like Contact C. There's like cards you can like hard play to like homework check people, and if they don't play the counter in their deck, the deck just like auto loses in some situations. So I think it's a good deck, but I just don't think it's the best deck. Moving on, we
I also
have
think that like in a format where Mitsurezio exists, right, Geki against this deck is really good, right? So like, sorry, Morikumo like hard checks this deck. So yeah, I'd keep it in maybe. I don't think it can go higher.
yeah, I definitely agree. And then we have pure Draco Tail. What do you think about this deck?
For me, this deck is either winner or doubt it. Like, there's no in between. I think that if someone solves this deck, right, there's like infinite ways to play this deck, and if someone finds the best way to play this deck, enters an event, and nobody's prepared for it because everyone is thinking this deck is in doubt it, and then they just like aren't ready for it, they aren't counted for it, they haven't tested against enough against it. Sorry, this deck could definitely get away with it. However, it's still like not like at the highest ceiling deck. It's more of a control deck, but it definitely has potential. So because I was thinking of it in winner or doubt it, I low key put it in maybe. Like I think you can definitely do it if again like people take it with the right approach.
Okay, this is for pure Draco Tail, right? Basically, how it's getting played right now. I think it's the best way to rate it. How people are playing it right now is they're starting to play like Fenrir's in the main deck, and they're starting to play like some Shaddoll cards in their deck, but they're not playing canines. Besides, like sometimes they'll get to play Azuna in their deck, but they're not playing like any of the canine cards because it's a separate deck here. I think if that's the
No,
case, this deck's going to doubt it.
okay, fair enough,
Yeah. Okay. I think it's like a fair place to rate it without like just saying it. It's yeah. I'm just gonna leave it there and stop talking. Okay, pure canine. I think this deck also goes in doubt it. I think this deck's really cool. This deck has a very absurd win condition in the fact of Mjolnir control. Mjolnir is an artifact monster that says if this card is special summoned, you have to activate its effect. Special summon during your opponent's turn, I should say. You have to activate its effect. It is a mandatory effect that targets an artifact monster in your graveyard and like specials it back or something. Something that you can't even do, but because it's mandatory, they have to activate it. And it just locks them out of special summoning or summoning until the end of the next turn. And so what this canine deck does, it basically just turbos that guy out because he's a 5. He gives it to your opponent with the artifact or the Quinquiri card, Princess Quinquiri. It's a Cyberse monster. That's all the deck does. The deck has a lot of problems with it. Mainly the fact of if it's like a control deck like that's just trying to abuse like one funny interaction, it needs to be better at playing into boards. The canine cards are good at playing into boards. The main thing is like I feel like if you get your Jokel stopped, like your next push is Azuna, and your next push is in the next duel because like that's all your deck has. And so
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. The pushes are a little questionable, and especially into the form of removal that we have right now, which is like board wipes, double Book of Moon. Like the Kinetic engine itself can't actually push for that.
can't at all. Let's look at another one of Sean's deck that he'll probably enter a YCS with. What do you think about Labyrinth?
That is not the goo, bro. Labyrinth, like put
No.
put the trap cards back in the Edison format. Like purple cards are not good cards.
I think the only thing this deck might have going for it more than Blue Eyes is it has less level 8 monsters, which isn't even true. All right, Lunalite. Lunalite's a deck that I think if it goes first, resolves its full combo, it's unbreakable. Double Liger is untouchable, and even in formats where like people are preparing for Double Liger, they have to draw the out to Double Liger, and you have to play incorrectly to make that out be effective. This deck does have problems though. Lancia is one of them. Droll is another. Those cards have kind of shifted. At least Droll at least has like almost completely shifted out of the format. And then Lancia is like starting to see a little bit less play. People are starting to play Meows as their like side deck card for Malice because it has such a good like spot into Yummy. Being able to activate Meows on your own turn versus Yummy means that you're going to be drawing like several cards versus that deck going second into the board. And like it also obviously has very good synergy into Malice countering multiple spots. So Lancia is coming out of some decks to replace it. I think that Lunalite is like well positioned to maybe even win the event, just because if it goes first and it's double ligering people consistently, I think it's unbeatable. And going second, if it's able to resolve like any sort of play to get to a liger, I feel like the game is also over. But I like this deck a lot, so I may be overrating it. But what do you think, Julien?
Yeah, my only issue with the deck, honestly, just in terms of like I don't think enough people will play, enough good players will play to give it that chance to be in the winner category. Like that also comes into account, right? Like if a deck's not represented enough, it obviously has a lower chance of winning an event. But I think that like gives it enough status to be like in the maybe section, right? Like where if good players bring it and you know they can perform and they have the right deck list, it could definitely win the YCS. So I'm good with maybe.
I think it'd definitely be the bottom of maybe, but I think it's at least in the maybe category. Then we have Malice.
I might be biased, but
Might be biased.
if I'm pulling up with Malice, I might be winning the YCS.
You give me a Malice deck with like one backup and maybe like 48 non-engine cards. That's my build, bro. I'm locked in.
Yeah, you might be out by the second round.
I might be out by the second round. I might not even go to Vancouver. But yeah, I think this deck is just overall like the most powerful deck. The fact that it plays non-engine so well in the deck while also being able to play around things like Azuna as a hand trap is very, very cool. There's even like a specific combo that I've seen with this deck where you're actually able to climb up into Allied Code Talker while searching for backup. You don't special the backup yet, so you don't play into any like Azuna. And then you make Allied Code with a Lingaribo underneath it, and then you special the backup and continue to extend from there after you're already safe from it. The other cool thing with Malice is it has just a phenomenal, insane, absolutely unlosable matchup into Yummy. If you are able to play the game at all going second versus that deck, even if it's in main phase 2, the game ends. You summon Binder, you banish both of their field spells, and the game is over because now they have no access to do anything at all. The deck also makes SP more efficiently than any other deck in the past 5 years of Yu-Gi-Oh! Being able to clear their minions super consistently and then still have other pushes through it is insane. Then we have...
I have not had Malice is the best deck.
It's the best deck right now. Then we have Yummy with Fiendsmith cards in it. The only reason you'd ever play this deck is if you were super keen that you were going to get Contact Seed for 11 rounds in a row. That's the only benefiting factor of having the Fiendsmith cards in your deck. So I'm going to put this at the very bottom of Doubt It.
Yeah, I think this deck sucks. This deck blows. Honestly, like, you're adding Fiendsmith cards to your deck. You're, like, raising the ceiling a little bit. But at the same time, like, your end board's already, like, really good. You don't really need to be doing all this. And it doesn't add layers that, like, you won't already lose to. Like, you're already, you know, losing to Dark Ruler, losing to Eclipse, all these cards. That adding a Caesar doesn't really help that much. And also, now you start playing into Azuna, like, as the hand trap, which you weren't doing before. Because obviously, you know, Engraver activates from the hand, activates from the graveyard, like both of the only places that Azuna cares about. So I wouldn't play these cards in Yummy. I think it makes it a lot worse actually, rather than make it better. And you can't play as many non-engine. Oh my god.
No. Yeah, that's bad. All right, then we have Christian K9. I think this deck is up here with winners. This deck has some crazy pros about it. If you open Jokul or one of the 4 other ways to Jokul, and then you open Sulfador, or one of the 4 other ways of Sulfador, besides like hard drawing it, you win the duel, right? Then you can just go to the next duel. That deck, that literally plays through like 4 hand traps, I think. I think you could play through like 4 hand traps and still end with like Ripper plus like a trap card in most situations. It is totally unfair. Not to mention, like, this deck has a lot of room for non-engine. Like, with Izuna, I think we're playing, is it 16 non-engine in our deck? Yeah, that sounds about right.
17, I think. Yeah, I
17.
think 7.
It's a lot. For like a deck like this, like a high ceiling combo deck, getting to 17 non-engine is crazy for the deck. But also like having the cards work really well together. Like by far, secondary engine wise, Christian is the deck that works with the canine cards better than any of the other ones. It's like not even close.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Krishan's so strong. The end board is like very layered too. Like even if you get dark layered, you still have one pop, look at your opponent's hand, and two pops with the trap. So just a lot of things going for it with the high non-engine count. You can have a lot of hand traps to support it. It's really good.
Mhm. On around Myziel, I kind of put this deck in like doubt it, but because people are doubting like this type of deck, it may just like win the YCS on accident. I'm gonna go ahead and do the Heraldic Raziel deck because these are basically the same thing. They're either on like doubt it or they're gonna win the YCS. It just depends on how people prepare for this event.
Yeah, people are cutting Joel from the deck. Like these decks have, a much higher chance. Like in the last format, people were respecting Raziel like so much that like Joel was really hurting them, right? Like they just make detonator pass, which detonator pass in this format is probably like even worse than before. However, if like you're not playing Joel to stop this, then you're really just only relying on your Moltres, and even going second, like when these decks don't get drolled, they can push really far because all their monsters have on summon effects and not ignition effects. So that way they just keep continuing having waves of play, which is really good.
Then we have Draco Tail branded. I think this deck's really cool. There's a lot of synergy with this deck going second. Being able to like branded fusion send Pan to the graveyard to go into Titaniclad, and then you can use the effect of Pan to pop something and then set something like Ketu or Rahu. Gives this deck crazy potential when going second. But this deck still loses to a Ash Blossom now, and now you're playing cards that don't always work together. I think this deck is probably in doubt it. I think it's really cool though. Like honestly, if I was gonna play branded again, this deck would excite me to play the deck. And then we have Memento Canine. This is probably the killer at Pack's heart. I'm sure Pack is looking at this deck and he's angry that he qualified for Master Duel Worlds instead of regular one because this deck looks super cool. Have you looked at this deck at all, Julian?
A little bit, yeah. It's really cool. Like a lot of good like extra pushes from the K9 cards. I do think that it doesn't add too much. Like Memento is already a deck that does like a crazy amount. Even though it might look like during their whole combo they just keep deleting their board and putting it back on the field. The deck already does enough, so I don't think that the K9 cards are necessarily like that much of a needed addition to where like kind of changes the style of the deck. So I'd probably still put this in doubt it,
Yeah.
but I don't know how you feel.
I think I'd put it a little bit higher and doubted than some of these like other fake decks here. I think the deck is like very powerful, and the canine cards do add more like consistency and pushes to the deck because you can like bridge the engines really well. But you also have like stronger lines of play. Like sometimes you'd open your hand of memento cards and you'd be like, wow, if they let this Darkblade resolve, I play through 11 hand traps. And they Valor Darkblade randomly. I don't know why Valor's in their deck, but then you lose the game somehow. I feel like the canine cards just like kind of help with that, help let you play through all these situations. But that's my opinion on the deck. I think this deck is definitely not like tier 0 or anything like that, tier 1 even. But I think it's a deck that the better Memento players will gravitate towards, and it'll have some tops. That depends.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
I think this deck is the goo, as we talked about in our last video.
Yeah, that deck is kind of nice. Kind of nice. I'm not gonna lie. You can do a lot with this. I had a game where I had no Draco Tail engine. I had only K9. I had like one Draco Tail like brick in my hand, but that's all I needed because I went K9. I summoned the Concurier Princess. I reborn my Jokul, and then I crashed my Jokul into my opponent's monster to be able to surge 5 mana. Like there's some crazy lines like that can get you entered into your Draco Tail engine, and once that engine's rolling, like you're going crazy, and now you're adding another engine to raise the ceiling of your deck, which makes it even better.
Yeah. I also think just having like the very, very high roll factor of this deck when going second is just like kind of like Canine Vanquish tries to do, but just better. Like I feel like the fact that you can just win to your opponent on turn 0 and your opponent doesn't have really any interactions as to what they can do about it is a little better than just like activating Holy Sue and just hoping you have the right attributes to get Ash Blossom done successfully. It just feels a lot better in that situation to just summon a Winda than try to high roll with cards like that. And then we have
Making
Vince
Winda should be illegal.
I
Making
love Winda. Winda is my favorite material under my Ripper. Definitely my favorite. Mitsuri Raziel. this deck is supposed to be getting better because of its matchup into Yummy. But if you look at the regional results that have popped up recently over the past couple weeks, this deck's really not doing too good. It could just be like new deck syndrome, right? New deck came out, I want to play it, give me Cupsy, you know? But at the same time, I think that this deck does start to fold under like 1-for-1 trade hand traps when they get overwhelmed. Kind of like Vanquish and Canine does. And I think that that's probably what's holding this deck back in like the near future from just doing really, really well. It's just the 1-for-1 hand traps in the format. However, I do think that this deck has the potential to maybe win. I think it definitely has a higher chance to win than Lunalite.
Yeah, I'm with that.
I would probably put Canine Vanquish Soul like right along here as well. I definitely don't think this deck is like the highest favor to win. I think maybe for the first event it has a chance to win because there's going to be so many of them. People are going to fall into the fallacy of, hey, I saw someone in the OCG play this. It was on Road to the King. Give me my Canine cards. Give me my Vanquish Soul cards. Run it deep. And there's like 30% representation that it's Canine Vanquish Soul. And if everybody's playing Canine Vanquish Soul, eventually there's going to be one person who's skilled at the deck that falls into the high variance of I opened Izuna, Holy Sue, Raisin, Mad Love, and Magnemite.
Every game, yeah.
Every game. There 1 second.
I definitely can see that happen, yeah. It's definitely like a high probability, right? If there's enough people playing that deck, there's enough people that are going to open crazy and just, you know, win every match 2-0 because they always have attributes. So, yeah, definitely possible.
Yeah, the only thing that bothers me with it is like the odds that you open Holy Sue plus a Vanquish Soul monster and then the 2 attributes that work well with it are lower than the odds that you open 5 mana plus a Draco Tail and any monster in your deck. And so I think that really the impact of having those go together is kind of the same amount of impact. I just think that the Draco Tail Canine deck does it more efficiently and does it at a high rollery rate. I don't know the right word. I think that you guys know what I mean. I hope so. I'm not going to explain it more.
You don't even have to open another Draco Tail monster. You can open a Shaddoll card and a Dark monster.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't mean to put these 2 on the list here, so I'm just going to put them down as decks that Sean Pitt would play. And then we have Mermail. Mermail is a super cool deck, but I think this deck cries with decks that have Canine cards in them in the format. One, your deck doesn't have enough hand traps to really stop them from actually playing. There are some builds that play 15 hand traps. I understand that, but at the same time, 6 of those hand traps are chummies, 3 of them are Impulse, and 3 of them are Ash Blossom. You know, they're not stopping a Paradise Smasher. And if I know that you're playing Mermail, I am Paradise Smashing you, and I'm just going to say, well, I hope I don't roll that 9% chance and you just lose the game. I'm just going to run it down every time. And I think that the fact that this deck is automatically known, like once you start getting to top tables in a later event, like people are going to know that you're playing Mermail. They're going to talk with their friends. They're going to see, oh no, I play against Lucas Sacco. He played Mermail last round. I'm going to Paradise Smasher him game 1. Makes this deck have like a major disadvantage to it. The other thing with it is that if there is enough Canine Vanquish Soul like we were thinking, normal summon Neptibus somehow does not play through Holy Sue. I know it plays through every other hand trap in the game, but if they go Holy Sue take on your Neptibus, you're cooked. Pop.
Oh, take? Oh, I was thinking pop it.
Oh, they could do that too, yeah. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
This deck. Neptibus dies, and that's it. I think that the deck that's going to win YCS Vancouver is in our top 3 right now. How do you think I did? How do you think we did?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I already know what deck is going to win Vancouver because I already know what I'm playing for Vancouver. So,
God, yes. Let's go, Sean. Okay.
yes, blue lines, baby. Woo.
All right, guys. That was it for the video. If you guys want to do this tier list yourself, it's going to be in the description box down below. You can go do it there. You can also check out Julien. This is this like French guy below me. You can check out his channel in the description box as well. They're posting another tier list about all of the North American Yu-Gi-Oh players and how we personally rank them at this time. I did want to say that video is supposed to be taken with a lighthearted manner. Do not get upset with me or him or Julien, Cooley, and John. Besides that, though, if you guys wouldn't mind liking the video, I'd appreciate it. And I hope you guys have an absolutely fantastic day.